Now we are live. We are back again. Hello, everyone.
Right.
Great to have you all together with us here for bottish standard panel. And I would say I'll hand over to Aron because you have some interesting questions and comments and from the great speakers here.
Yeah, thanks, Thomas. So I would like to start with along the ideas that you presented, Nathan, and ask Humayun and Irene about that, because when you say whoever owns the interface owns the brand, owns the relationship, and well, everything that comes with it. Now, with decentralized protocols, that of course takes a very interesting twitch because anyone can create a user interface around it, and there's not a single company that sort of owns whatever is done with it. So maybe first for you, Humayun, how do you see that with Fetch? With like, okay, there's all these agents and predictions, and there's all a low level thing. But how do you see that users experience that, and how do you see Fetch the organization acting in there?
Yeah, so it's quite an interesting one. We have a vision, but we don't know how this is going to pan out because this is all happening now. It's new, and there's too many unknowns. Now, the way I look at it is we are used to holding verticals because there is the verticals which people own, and then they put an interface on that vertical. We're now talking about horizontals. So we are talking about not just owning a specific vertical, but owning the connectivity between all the verticals. So that's how Fetch sees it. So rather than seeing it in a vertical way, we see it in a horizontal way because a service spans across multiple verticals. So what Fetch does is it connects all those verticals to be able to fluidly transfer value, information, and service. So the handshake between one vertical to the other is very, very fluid. So I think it's not that we can't still own the interfaces. We might not. We might try to do it that way, we might not. But what will change is definitely that it's going to become a lot more fluid system, and somebody who provides the most frictionless system becomes the owner of that kind of horizontal space.
Right. And so you, Irene, what about Ocean? What are some thoughts on your side on that? Like the user interface versus owning the brand and the relationship.
Well, I think from the point of view of the protocol, I mean, Ocean provides a kind of like a public infrastructure, yeah, to do data exchange in a frictionless way. So it's who actually develops the interface. It's is not really something we care about. We provide the infrastructure to actually build services on top of. Yeah.
Right, and do you provide interfaces yourself, user interfaces, or do you fully depend on others to build them?
No, we will provide user interfaces to actually data and discover services. Yeah, so we will do that. But I suppose it's a different take from what Nathan was talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. So, Nathan.
It really feels like 1995, 96 again, or 97 even, where we quickly realized for more complex websites that we needed content management systems, and none existed. And so we had to roll our own at each company, and every consultant had to create essentially their own. And we're right at the moment with conversational interfaces, with AI, with these technologies, where these solutions like web objects and net objects and and what later became WordPress and movable type, etc. These solutions are just now ready to come onto the market, and that's when things are going to explode. But right now, we're having to, make them all ourselves.
Right. And Nathan, how about yourself? Because I mean, and the Seed project. Because on the one hand, Seed, of course, is a platform for conversational user interfaces and components, etc. But it is also a decentralized platform. So there might be other people who create other user experiences for the Seed network that are different or better or worse or whatever than the ones that the Seed project itself provide. What are some thoughts that you have about that?
Well, I think that obviously we're focused on bots or conversational interfaces for the moment, and we definitely see that we're building a front-end solution. We're building a consumer business-based platform that allows them, they're essentially our customers, that allows them to get easier access to the plethora of digital services, AI services, and other kinds of services that are coming online. Because again, going back to the paradigm of the beginning of the web, mere mortals writing HTML code are not able to tap into complex databases or translation matrices or any kinds of services in order to enable the kinds of conversational interfaces that they envision and the kinds of data and services that Fetch and Ocean are looking to provide. So it's a natural partnership for us to work with these companies that are building these sophisticated services and try to make them as accessible as possible to everyone that envisions using a conversational interface, whether it's a huge company like Nike or a small, hardware manufacturer in Kuala Lumpur. Ultimately, they should all have access to get to these sophisticated services without them being prevented by a gatekeeper or a high cost that they can afford.
Right. And so do you think that if you see Seed as the Bang & Olufsen, is there an Amazon Alexa to the Bang & Olufsen that is Seed, or do you think that the nature of more open decentralized platforms make that impossible?
Yeah, we see ourselves more, I think, as a W3C or something that develops these standards, or a Wikipedia that's an independent publisher or publishing platform that allow, I guess in some ways we see ourselves more as a WordPress for conversational interfaces that allow all sorts of other kinds of services to plug in and make it easy for anyone to come and start a conversational interface, use it, maintain it, draw data and analysis from it, without feeling like they're competing with the very platform they are using in order to reach customers.
Right. Thanks. Then one more for you, Humayun. With on Fetch, potentially there are millions and millions of agents that interact and that find data and sell data and services to each other. To get back to the theme of giving a voice to the blockchain, for some of these agents, it makes a lot of sense for them to have a voice, in the sense that they will be directly perceived by users or by companies or whatever. And for some, it might totally not, because you would never see it. You would only see the end result that maybe gets reprocessed by 10 other agents. Do you have some ideas on how you decide which agents and how they should be made visible and how users should directly experience them, and which should not?
Well, I think it's quite a good kind of synergy between what Nathan was saying. We are not looking we're not the voice providers for the agents, right? So for us, what is more interesting and what is more important is that we enable people like Seed to be able to deliver and actually create these agents using this conversational user interfaces. So, for example, what we would see is that you deploy and create a travel agent, for example, by just saying, I want to travel to, let's say, sunny San Francisco or foggy San Francisco, and then a travel agent gets created, and that travel agent can then converse with you and deliver the tasks you require it to do. So what we are providing is the underlying infrastructure where this agent can be launched. Once it's built using Seed's, let's say, user interface, it can be launched, and it's intelligent enough to find other agents to deliver the task you've just asked it to do. Now, when the result comes back, that result, we don't want to be providing the conversational interface. Again, we go back through Seed to provide that interface again. Now, and again, just to elaborate on how our system deals with it, you have a front-end agent which says, okay, I need to arrange travel, but let's say the travel needs to find out your context. It needs to make various predictions, make use of various predictions. So, for example, it could go to another agent internally and negotiate a price for a prediction, and the prediction might be, hey, I mean, when are the prices going to be going up? In 2 weeks' time, what is the price of flights looking like, and which hotels can I communicate with? So how do I connect to 10 hotels and find out which one suits me the best? And obviously, how do I return that result back to you? So, the old days of going online, and we started from travel agents, let's say. I mean, I'm using the travel example because it's more relatable to most people, and it's also kind of really nicely fits in with the conversational interface. If you think about it, we went from travel agents going and knocking on their door and saying, could you book me all this travel? I want to go on holiday for 10 days with my children. They gave you a very personalized service and just did everything for you. They cost you, but they did everything for you. Then we had this, the web mania, where we started deciding that we should search for it ourselves, and it's much easier, which it was for a while. But then there's too much noise, and then you get flooded with offers. Even after you've come back from holiday, you keep getting offers of holidays. Now that's becoming annoying, and I don't think it's going anywhere because there's a whole industry based around it. However, what we're trying to do is we're saying it should be as simple as the service of a travel agent, which was physically used to be, but with the cost of an online system, and not just that, but the annoyance of not having the online advertising. So everything gets done, everything, because with the IoT coming in place and the prediction markets, which Ocean is kind of, providing, is the infrastructure to get all these prediction models running, the data which needs to be to deliver that. I mean, in a very combined way and in a very collaborative way, this whole systems, all three of them, could work together to deliver service which is seamless, without annoying ads, and much better than going out and trying to book all these separate different tasks, doing all these tasks separately, and spending all that time searching for these holidays. Just an example.
I agree wholeheartedly, Humayun. And one of the things I want to emphasize about what you said is that this actually speaks to Giovanni's question as well. We've built really simple systems up to this point. I want to go to San Francisco. Oh, that's not a hard thing for a service or a system to interpret. But you're right. You used to go to a travel agent and say, oh gosh, I'm really tired and I just want to go somewhere warm. Where should I go? And the travel agent would suggest places and times and services that up till now we have not built these travel services yet, because they're just simply not sophisticated. With the kind of technologies that are coming online and services like yours and Ocean, we can now make those kinds of machine learning services available to anyone, so that they could ask something relatively simple like, take me somewhere warm where I can get frilly drinks, and the service will actually be able to serve them. So this paradigm of simple chatbots, which I do think is getting old quickly, will be supplanted with much more sophisticated both chatbots and voice bots because of these services once they're able to easily plug in. And I think that the expectations of our customers, of people out there in the world, have risen really, really quickly beyond what chatbots can deliver because of both what they see in science fiction and because of how they interact with, Siri, Google, Facebook. So chatbots and simple interfaces and simple solutions just aren't going to cut it anymore.
By the way, Aaron, I'm jumping in because we have there some questions in the chat, and I'm seeing you already showing them on the stream. So if you like to address one of them.
Yeah, well, I don't know who's pressing the show and stream button, because I'm not. But yeah, I mean, I think the chatbots are that question we had. Well, maybe we can do a few of these at the end, because I have one or two questions for the panel. And then I think we have a few minutes for the audience questions in any case. And people, please do keep throwing them in. Yeah, so I had one for Irene around the marketplaces, because you described there's this explicit goal of Ocean to have people create marketplaces and services that will form around those. Now, such marketplaces are again things that end users will perceive as there is something, right? They will perceive, hey, there's a marketplace here, and I can maybe trade this kind of data. And now that we're in this early stage, we can perceive that, okay, there's this data market. But as these things evolve more, it might not look like a data market at all. It's more, a more established and evolved service. Yeah, what can you tell a bit about tell a bit more about what this concept of a marketplace is, and how you see, working with also third parties to again, having them create these voices of the Ocean protocol that users can experience. How do you see that? How do you see the working?
I mean, there are different ways to look at marketplaces. We have what we call the data commons. Yeah, you can imagine that the world as a big kind of like round. Yeah, and that's the world that we are building. Yeah, in Ocean. Part of that big environment has a piece that is for the commons. Yeah, is data commons, is for the commons good. So that is kind of like a big marketplace where people can actually put the data and help solve common global problems. Yeah, that's one type of marketplace. We expect it's going to be very, very large and have small kind of like groups of interest that group around specific problems. Yeah, but it's like a big data commons space. Yeah, and then other marketplaces will have either economic incentives. There will be a group of organizations that want to actually share data for a number of reasons. Yeah, economic reasons or business reasons, or groups of interest. Yeah, from different industries that want to solve the specific problems that affect the supply chain. So we are discussing internally and talking to companies externally, what are the sort of things that they might want to see being built in Ocean, and what are the things that they would see Ocean solving their problems for. And we're really looking forward to the launch where we can get the community engaged and actually test the hypothesis around the marketplaces, how curation is going to work with real data and real companies. How easy it is to build a marketplace. We've launched Trilobite 2 weeks ago. A simple marketplace that is kind of like the skeleton of a marketplace that people can go and actually build and test and experiment with. As I said before, we are building a framework. We're building a public utility with people we're providing the tools, and we're going to open them for others to come and build things. Yeah. And the conversation that I'm having with companies, once people get it, yeah, once they understand that we are building a decentralized proposition, one, they understand the purpose of this, and one, they understand the potential benefits, really quickly come with a use case that solves very specific problems. So yeah, we expect interesting things emerging. So we are not dictating types of or categories or marketplaces. We're providing the tools.
Right. And in fact, you would welcome many different types, right? Especially
Absolutely.
the ones that you have thought. Yeah. Okay, great. All right. Yeah, maybe jump into some of the audience questions.
I like the one that asks how are we collaborating between us, and if we can give an example. And I think that was what we were doing before, yeah, Nathan and
exactly.
yeah. So I think it's actually a good it's a good example. Just to say to the people that is listening to us that we do collaborate, we do talk to each other, so we understand what type of things the others are doing and try to not to replicate things, yeah, and integrate where we can. And it's an ongoing conversation, yeah. So yeah. I can say that because I'm part of some of those conversations within the company. So yeah.
Yeah.
I agree, Irene. I think that the best strategy right now is to build to open APIs and open standards, because we don't know where this is going to go. We don't know how big it's going to get. We don't know how sophisticated or which path it's going to take. So as long as we have interoperability within our tokens and interoperability within APIs, we can be prepared for whichever path or however many paths grow out of this.
Also, this space is quite new, and there's a lot to be done. And one company or one organization can't do it. So we need collaboration between many to deliver this. And I'm very, very confident that there is a lot to be delivered. And I think we're getting there. We're starting to deliver with collaboration. And I use the word competitive collaboration. That's my favorite word of the month, of the year, or whatever you want to call it, because I think a lot of that coming along. We're all competitive. We want to do good, but we have to collaborate to be competitive.
Yeah,
and that's the only way to build a resilient system anyway. I agree.
Yeah. All right. Well, I have on this one I can comment from our side as well. Like from how do we as Outlier Ventures see this? Yes, we definitely stimulate collaboration between all our portfolio and look for synergies between our portfolio by doing things like inviting you to these kind of events. But also, for example, we ran a hackathon a couple of weeks ago where Sovereign, Ocean Protocol, and Higher Networks were featured, and we had students build on all of those technologies, sometimes combining them within 24 hours. Building something that's none of them had ever thought of. And yeah, we see that really helps in both sort of putting the tech to the test, like, okay, is it ready to build on? And if not, get busy, right? and also, stimulating like, okay, here there are touch points here. For example, Ocean Protocol, you use DIDs, the decentralized identifiers for your data sets, which Sovereign is also very much leading on establishing that standard. And that's between the Ocean and Fetch and Seed, and there's all of those touch points, and yeah, we really like to stimulate those and exploring those. Let's go to that we don't miss one. Yeah, so how do we solve that Facebook, Amazon, and Google dominate the data? Well, I think we've touched upon those, but maybe someone has a good closing comment on it.
Well, I can just drop a few things. Data is great, but data comes from service. Now, rather than worrying about the Facebook, Amazon, Google of the world, who provide a very valuable service, and that's why they have grown to the size they have. Rather than focusing on, well, how are we going to compete with them, what I think we need to worry about is how can we provide a good service. Now, what is our service, and is it a seamless service? Do we provide a frictionless service? Because all these companies people are mentioning, they only have data because they are providing a service. Now, if rather than focusing on, well, are we going to be able to take it away from them, if we can put our focus on providing a service which people actually want, we will get the data. I don't think why wouldn't we get the data? If we are giving people the service they need, we worry about the data after. And you know, just to add, decentralization means that your data stays yours. So, you know, slowly people and users are going to become aware of that, and they would want to keep it. However, let me make a point very clear. I don't believe it's going to move unless the decentralized world has the service to offer the users.
Always.
Agree.
Right. Yeah. Very good point. And that needs a service that's actually useful for users, and not only the horizontal, right? The horizontal can facilitate that service, but in the end, that service has to come and has to.
There has to be real world value. There has to be a real world service, and then we worry about the data, because data will come. Data will follow the service.
And that's going to take a while to build. That's not going to be launched overnight, which is why it's important to start now and to collaborate now, because it's actually going to be a year or two before that frictionless service is available that can compete against these other services.
Yep.
All right. I'm conscious about the time. Let's see, we have only 2 or 1 minute left. So I think we'll have to close off. I'm really looking forward to the travel agent that I can just speak to and say, I'm tired, I want to go somewhere foggy. And that will, through a seed conversational user interface, get some fetch agents out to find it for me, looking from data source from Ocean. And yeah, let's hope that happens soon. So yeah, thank you all for coming to the panel and coming on bottish today. Thomas, I don't know if you have any famous last words.
No, yes and no. Yes, for sure. Thank you very much for your questions and comments, for joining the 4 presentations, including the panel. Thanks, Aron, for moderating this. Thanks for all, and yeah, being part of bottish 10. This is like a jubilee. We started 2 years ago, 10th edition. And yeah, we mentioned, yeah, Irene, you are finding like, yeah, the new features of ISON. Yeah, what I can say, yes, we started 2 years ago. We are reaching 10,000 members, already 100 countries. I'm not sure how many we had today, but sure we have a lot of people seeing all the replays again. And yeah, some great news as well. Like 2 weeks ago, we started to officially launch a non-profit organization for bottish. So we are now like an organization which we hadn't until now. And we are starting now building around AI and blockchain. And this is a perfect start for the new era, so to say, for bottish as well. So stay tuned for this as well. We will send out more information. We are already onboarding great partners, new members as well. So we will share the information next week. So yeah, next edition is already planned. 11 will be February 21, and the topic will be new work. So perhaps we will have some of you guys being part of it again, or at least yeah, supporting our idea and bottish. So thanks again for all, for our partners, for you speakers. Was great insights again, and for Aron especially as well for moderating this panel. And yeah, I think stay bottish and have a great year end, and yeah, see you next year latest.
Thank you, Thomas.
Thank you.
Okay. Thanks. Have a great night, afternoon. Thanks all.
Right.
Bye.
Yes.